Today has been fucked up, man. I could not sleep last night. I swear to God, it's the craziest thing. It's always how it is, right? This is why when you start your day, okay, you have to treat your energy like a use it or lose it kind of deal, okay? You cannot go to bed with energy. I went to bed at midnight. I fell asleep at 4:30. What do you want? I was trying too. I even turned the phone off. That's how desperate I was to fall asleep. I turned the phone off and I laid on my side. Can you believe that? I was so bored. I just could not fall asleep. And the reason the cam's not on is because I'm putting the facial lotion on. You know, you have to moisturize, otherwise you end up looking like, well, like you guys, I imagine. You don't want that. Gotta apply the moisturizer, which I do multiple times a day. Don't really apply body lotion. Some people have to do that. I guess like women do. I don't know. I don't really know how it works, to be honest. Maybe that's why girls are softer. You know, like on average. We're not being essentialist with it. We're being like, you know, probabilistic. Hold on. Almost done. And we'll talk about autism or whatever. It's going to have to be a quick stream. I had a bunch of other stuff that I had to do today as well. I'm joshing you. I'm joshing you. I fell behind on D&D prep. That's the actual thing that I'm behind on. But I'm behind on it, you know. And I put the work in. I do the maps. I build the maps on Dungeon Draft. And on Foundry, I input all the stats and I do all the little effects. Hold on, almost done. Can't see chat. I haven't been able to see chat at all. I'm basically just talking to myself here. Hope I unmuted my mic. Cause I clicked the mic unmute button with my glasses off. I was just kind of going on shapes and colors. Feel pretty dumb if I didn't. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Doot doot. Doot doot doot. Yo, why the fuck am I so short? All right. Howdy. Howdy. You need to invest into ASMR, it's a lifesaver. Nope. That shit is not my bag, my friend. My rhetorical but not actual friend. That is not my shit. I think it's kind of creepy. Not creepy like intellectually. Like I wouldn't say you're creepy for being into it. I think it's creepy in that like it gives me the creeps. Seriously, why am I so short? Did I fix it? Am I tall now? $5'11" versus 6 foot. Chair? Oh my god, I can raise my chair. Holy shit. I noticed that adjusting my chair height didn't fix my unkempt hair. What's up? Ever tried autogenic training to go to sleep? Angry Lame Duck, you made a mistake. You didn't attach a link to your message. Was it like a typo? Vosh, I'm worried, not gonna lie. About what? I like the brick red on you. It looks good. Where'd you get the shirt? I got this shirt for $25. It's a vintage Wrangler Western flannel shirt. I got it from a very, 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 very good curated thrift store in Seattle called Barn Owl Vintage. I put up my hat rack right there, and I keep seeing the blob of color in my peripheral vision. I think it's a cat hovering behind me. You ever tried rewatching your streams to go to sleep? That would put me right out. That would put me right out. There you go, Angry Lame Duck. Good luck prepping for D&D. It can be such a pain. You ever think in your head like, oh my god, I'm designing these enemies to be maximally entertaining. They're gonna have such a cool interplay of abilities that'll force the party into like a really difficult tactical position, and then the party runs in and gets a like the fighter gets a crit, and the NPC dies immediately, and then the remaining ones just pile into a corner, and all they can do is multi-attack weapon melee attack the closest enemy. Ah, fudge the numbers, bro. You can't fudge the numbers. You have to believe in the numbers. You have to let the players believe in the numbers. You can fudge them a little bit. Peep this graphic. You're like the third person to link this, man. Fudge them just enough to get your desired effect of the encounter across. My personal belief is that if the party is on the ropes and they pull off a sick ass attack, and after the attack is done, the big bad evil boss has 1 hit point left or whatever, you can just kill the big bad evil guy. You know, you don't have to go like, oh, sorry, roll around the next fucking round of combat, everyone. Okay, everyone, reshuffle your numbers. It's time for us to go through this. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. What if you played a good system? What if people who hated 5e got a new argument? Didn't think of that, did you? Have you considered that you're playing the only system more fucking burnt out than 5e, the one where you complain about 5e? Why we need a new argument when we're right? Yeah, that's true. You are right. I'm just saying you should get a new argument. Vosh from Zero to Khmer Rouge, how pro-death is the US right now? I didn't answer that the first time you posted it. Did you think the second time would be funnier? Don't at me. And counterbalance tweaking doesn't end once you've prepped. In my opinion, okay, you just need to be smart about how you handle the mid fight balancing. Like maybe you get the big bad super low and they just collapse to their knees because they feel like they've lost, but they still have enough health in them to like do their end monologue or whatever the fuck. Maybe your group is gunning through the big boss way the fuck faster than you thought. So, oh my god, it turns out they have some ads there. Like you can still do it in ways. At least if you're adding new enemies, you're adding EXP to the encounter and like loot. You know what I mean? Like you're adding substance to the encounter rather than just like buffing up a health bar or whatever. Um I don't know, man. Whatever makes you. Doomer boss gives up after getting critted once and going down to 75% HP one hit. Dude, isn't that like realistic though? That shit's realistic, man. If you're fighting like like sentient humanoids in real life, most casualties in medieval warfare took place after the lines were broken. Like it's a bunch of people skirmish at the front, and then after they run, like a bunch of people get stabbed on the ground or whatever. You know, for the most part, like in real life, people run. You know, except for players. Players never run, no matter how powerful the encounter they're up against is. Fucking 50 NPCs telling them, "Hey man, I don't think you're on this guy's level just yet." Fucking multiple warning signs, piles of corpses outside the door. Players come in. There's a big open door right behind you. Fucking, but they'll never take it. They'll never take it. They don't route. They'll never route. No, 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 I got this. I'll just crit the next 5 attacks. And also he'll miss the next 8. What can you do? He really does look shorter today. Shut the fuck up. This is making me more mad than politics, lol. Yeah, well. It's because running's really shitty to do mechanically. Dude, if every player in a party sprints out, that ends the encounter. Like, very few DMs are going to go, oh, you've all run like 60 feet out of the room that we did a map for. Okay, you're now in a hallway outside of that room. I don't have a map for it, but you're being chased. And then like follow that through. You know what I mean? It usually, it's like Baldur's Gate. If you get far enough from the enemy, you can, you just retreat to camp. What if they have like bows? Then fucking don't get hit. What do you want? What the fuck you people on about, man? The monsters can chase by rules, but fuck that. Yeah, but in practice, that doesn't happen that often. All right. We got a big autism announcement in 45 minutes. Outside of that, what are we on about? Our Senate Majority Leader. What are we up to?
And I hope and pray that Trump will sit down with us and negotiate a bipartisan bill. That's how it's always been done in the past. That's how shutdowns have been avoided in the past.
And if he doesn't, I'm just confirming here, you will vote no. Is that correct?
We are hoping, Dana, we are hoping that he will negotiate with us.
And if he doesn't?
So far, he hasn't.
Globeheads on Twitter will literally argue that the Democrats are doing everything they can when this guy's the de facto leader of the Democrats. They'll be like, what do you want? They're literally doing everything in their power. And this is the this is like the advocacy we can look forward to from the Senate Majority Leader.
And we've had 2 bills in the House and Senate, and neither of them have passed. Our Democrats are firm. We need to get something done to relieve the distress the American people are in.
Okay, that sounded like a yes, but you can confirm that, and then I want to move on. Is that accurate?
Yeah. The bottom line is we must
Okay.
get a better bill than what they have, plain and simple.
The last time.
Jesus Christ. How different would controlled opposition be, honestly? From Schumer, no difference at all.
You've been asked numerous times if you will endorse Zohran Mamdani for New York City mayor. You always say
look at
you're
that
going
smile
to continue
fall
to talk. There are 2 key questions here that you haven't answered. One is, will you ever endorse him? And 2, what do you need from him?
Why can't he just say yes? Because if the federal government shuts down, it would probably inconvenience Israel in some way. I'm sorry, that's the answer. It's like Chuck Schumer is an avatar of a collection of economic and financial and, you know, geopolitical interests, none of which are his voters, by the way. And the federal government shutting down would be inconvenient to them. For a non-American, how is this position picked? Is it assigned by DNC? No, the Democratic senators vote for him.
To get your endorsement.
Okay, well, first of all, you know, I know him. We've had a good relationship in the past, and we had a good meeting 2 weeks ago, a very long meeting with a lot of serious questions, and all I can tell you is I'm going to continue talking to him.
What's the holdup?
Dude, she's done with this shit, man. She's like, what the fuck? Come on, like, give me something, you freak, you fucking loser. Give me anything.
I got to continue talking to him, and that's what I'm going to do.
Is part of the
like he's like it's not even like it's not even just being politically weak. Like interpersonally, he comes across as incredibly non-committal. You know.
That if you endorse a Democratic socialist, you're worried it will be damaging to your party, maybe even your chances of winning back the Senate?
I'm going to continue talking to him, Dana.
Jesus Christ, man. He's such a fucking freak.
You can ask me again.
All right.
Well, this is who the Democrats chose as their leader. And none of them speak out against him, by the way. The fuss about, like, the people whispering about his replacement or whatever, that was just, like, very temporary in response to him turning his back on the Democrats and whipping some senators into voting for the budgetary bill. That energy is not persisted. Yeah, Dana Bash is not, like, a good person. It's just Chuck Schumer is so bad that when they in this conversation, she comes across as far more reasonable. I kind of want to see the whole thing. It's probably not that long. It's not like he has much to say. From a few days ago. Looking. Looking. Where the fuck is it? Why can I never find the corresponding CNN segment relating to whatever clip I've just seen on Twitter? They don't post everything on social media. CNN... Chuck Schumer. Because they hate you? That's true. Yeah, I'm seeing some reposted clips, like, but not the full thing. What chunk is this?
That's a live look at
Trump will sit down with us and negotiate a
Okay, here we go. Oh man, look at that like to dislike.
Bipartisan bill. That's how it's always been done in the past. That's
people on his base. This time he is pushing hard towards potentially a shutdown because he's trying to push back on Republicans in charge. Listen to what he said to me this morning.
I hope and pray that Trump will sit down with us and negotiate a bipartisan bill. That's how it's always been done in the past.
You heard about the made-up Republican family Chuck Schumer uses to judge what is or isn't a good... Yeah. I've heard him talk about this. That he has, like, an imaginary couple in his head who he tries to cater his decision making to. Yeah, I've heard this. He's lying, of course. In reality, he's entirely beholden to lobbyists and special interest groups. But he wants to make it sound folksy.
That's how shutdowns have been avoided in the past.
And if he doesn't, I'm just confirming here, you will vote no. Is that correct?
We are hoping, Dana, we are hoping that he will negotiate with us.
And if he doesn't?
So far he hasn't. And we've had 2 bills in the House and Senate, and neither of them have passed. Our Democrats are firm. We need to get something done to relieve the distress the American people are in.
So, talk about the politics that are going on inside the Democratic Party that brought Chuck Schumer to this point.
Well, he faced, as you mentioned, a lot of backlash last time around for really not having a strategy. Democrats, they didn't feel like he walked in with any sort of strategy for a shutdown, et cetera. This time around, I do think he's doing better, along with Jeffries, which it was very telling when the Senate voted that the Democratic bill got more votes than the Republican bill. And so
it pisses me off so much that by, like, corporate mandate, by CNN mandate, these people are not allowed to say the obvious fact that all of us know 100%, which is that he's a little corporate ghoul who doesn't believe in anything. Like, it's the only explanation for his behavior. It's the best explanation. It makes perfect sense. It's consistent with everything he's ever done, but they can never, ever bring it up. We just have to, like, wildly speculate, like, oh, maybe it's just that he's been coincidentally, inconveniently incompetent in a very specific chain of ways forever. And that's why it's not like the other much more obvious explanation.
Found that interesting. It wasn't just Democrats that voted against the Republican bill. You also had Murkowski and others who voted against it. But then I also think it was smart for them to ask for a meeting with Donald Trump. It's very clear that Johnson isn't going to negotiate. He sent everyone back home on recess. And so he sort of owns this shutdown, and they want to put the pressure on Republicans and on Johnson. So I found it interesting.
But they don't, because Schumer just indicated that he doesn't want to put the pressure on Republicans. He just said he's not going to force a shutdown.
They asked for this meeting. It looks like Trump would like to meet with them. He will ultimately be the decision maker in this. And it just shows that Democrats are wanting to come to the table. They don't want to shut down. So I do think that Democrats are handling it a lot better than last time. And there is somewhat of a strategy compared to last time.
But they don't, the leaders might not want to shut down, but there's a lot of pressure from, as you were saying, from the Democratic base to do just that, to show their fight.
No, he said he won't not force one. Yeah, but he didn't say he would force one. Like, so he might as well. So he's not going to force one. Like, Chuck Schumer is not currently like whipping votes up to make sure that the funding doesn't go through. 100%. Like, if he was, he would say that, and he's not going to.
Yeah, I think that there is pressure. I never agree with a shutdown. I don't think it's good for either party for there ever to be a shutdown. And I think that going back many years, I think both leaders would understand that and understand that it's not popular. But at the same time, I think Chuck Schumer needs to show that he's fighting. And that's what he's doing right now.
I think Chuck Schumer better be careful and prove that he can lead. That's the question that independents who will decide this election are asking. Democrats have always said it's irresponsible to shut down the government. You gave Chuck Schumer this morning 3 chances to say that he would not vote to shut down the government.
This guy's a Republican, by the way. The independent posturing is bullshit and dishonesty, and this is a fake news network, and all the media is lying to you, and you should buy gold and live in a cabin in the woods, ideally in Alaska. They're all lying to you. They all hate you. They all want you to die.
And he refused to tell you yes. You gave him more than enough room to do that. He is headed toward doing something irresponsible because the Democratic Party is irresponsible right now. And that's I realize he's got a lot of pressure. I realize he's worried that AOC might primary him, but it's time for him to do what's right for the country and not what's right for Chuck Schumer.
But he also knows that this is about health care. And I think that they want the midterm elections to be about the economy and health care. And I think that's what he's ultimately trying to pick that fight.
It's about keeping the government open, period. You can't insert another issue into it and say it so, it's about something else. No, should we close
Democrats are saying we'll do it as long as you put more money in there for health care subsidies.
We'll hold the country hostage unless we get our way.
Alex, there is a lone Democrat.
Or what the fuck are you saying? Well, in his case, he just wants the Republicans to come out on top, which means he doesn't want a shutdown. If a shutdown happens, it would be the Republicans' fault. Mike Johnson and the Republicans broadly have been instructed not to talk with Democrats. They're not even making an effort to make a case for why their version of keeping the government open should be accepted. The Democrats, on the other hand, are making that case. So objectively, if a shutdown takes place, it will be because of the Republicans, because they are the ones who are not willing to compromise or negotiate on the thing they're trying to put through. But of course, he doesn't want that. He wants the Republicans to just get their way. Why do they want the shutdown to begin with? Nobody wants a shutdown. The Republicans want to avoid a shutdown with a funding bill that is more evil than what the Democrats want. The Democrats want the funding, the debt ceiling to be expanded in a way that provides more money for healthcare and a few other things. I want a shutdown.
Democratic voice in the Senate caucus, and that is John Fetterman, who was saying, do not do this. It is a disaster strategically. Listen to what he told me.
I would love to restore a lot of those healthcare things. That's the right outcome, but that's a dangerous tactic if you are.
Jesus, he literally looks and sounds like an ableist caricature. Like, he didn't used to sound quite like this. He actually sounds. I can't say retarded here because I'm actually saying he's mentally feeble. He does sound like it though.
Trying to shut the government down for one of our policies do. I think it's the right thing to extend those healthcare things, but it is absolutely the wrong thing for a lot of reasons that we're going to shut our government down. I condemned it when the Republicans threatened to do that thing, and it's entirely wrong for us to do the same thing now.
I think the line is Democrats in disarray, right? Is that they are not all on the same page here. There's
no page. Fetterman is a Republican. Schumer doesn't exist. Schumer doesn't have anything to say. Like, there's no page here. It's not even like they're disagreeing. Democrats don't even like talk to each other.
people that are actively calling for a shutdown, not just for healthcare reasons, but because, and you saw this in Ezra Klein's piece like a few weeks ago that circulated around Capitol Hill that said we need to shut it down in order to stop Trump's authoritarian government. Then you also have some Democrats saying, no, we need to do it for ACA subsidies. Some Democrats are saying for Medicaid, to roll back the Medicaid cuts. They are not all on the same page. And John Fetterman, while as the lone public voice, is not the only voice privately that does not want to shut down, in part because they do not believe the party has an exit strategy. Once you shut the government down, you still need to have Democratic votes in order to reopen it. What is the strategy if Republicans say no?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I do think one thing to note on that is when you don't have Democrats with the same messaging, it allows Donald Trump and his administration to do what they do best, which is to coalesce behind the message that this is Democrats' fault and blaming.
Well, you're telling me there are consequences to the Democrats having absolutely no outreach strategy, no cohesion, no consistent communication. Let me put it this way, guys. How insane is it that the Democrats have not completely ousted Fetterman from their coalition? Like, in the Republican Party, if you were as divergent from the base as Fetterman is from the Democratic base, they would have already tied you to a fucking stake. But Fetterman is allowed to just do and say whatever he wants, going constant media appearances where he defends and agrees with Republicans. He says the most obscene shit about Israel. Shit nobody in the Democratic base. Fetterman is not a Zionist in the sense that he believes in, like, you know, a Jewish homeland for safety or whatever. He, like, crows for the blood of Palestinians. There is no base for this within the Democrats. Nobody likes it. And yet, somehow, for some reason, the Democrats do nothing to push back against it. There is no pushback. There is no, like, we are disgusted by Fetterman's behavior. It's not as though they're fighting over a slim margin. They already don't have the Senate. You know? They just hate your ass, man. They just hate you.
A shutdown on them rather than the fact that he is in office at this time.
Kristen, I want to turn to Arizona. What are your sources telling you about the tone and tenor that the president wants to set with his speech?
Well, there's what they're saying and what we might ultimately see. And I think we're going to have to wait to actually see what he puts forward. And I will remind you that when he sat in the Oval Office, to him and to the people around him, that was a measured speech that honored the life of Charlie Kirk. To many, they believe that that was a blame game, that that was an opportunity for him to unite the country, and instead he blamed Democrats and the left. We know he's been personally involved in this. This has hit him. He is very close. He was very close to Charlie Kirk, and it's not just him. He sees it in the people around him who all had relationships with Kirk. This is personal for him.
I'm sorry, wait, when the fuck did we start talking about Kirk? When did that happen? Okay, the topic changed there very rapidly. Sorry. I guess I missed that. Charlie who? Some fucking guy. They're hiding that goddamn Chuck Schumer interview from me. They hate my ass. Same fucking photo. Yeah, whatever. Isn't this the budget bill that has text on banning gender-affirming care? Is that a different one? I don't know. I can't keep up with all this woke nonsense. What is this? Oh, I feel like we didn't talk about this enough considering how insane it is. So, in a shocking blow to our economic and the TTS. I got it, don't worry. In a shocking blow to our economic and sort of cultural supremacy, the Trump administration is imposing a $100,000 fee per H-1B visa per year for any company looking to hire people through that program. I've had my own criticisms of H-1B visa programs in the past, but this is basically designed to gut them. Which is, so the funniest thing is that this is not even a consistent across-the-board policy. Like so much else in this unitary executive theory-oriented administration, my understanding is that there's a provision in this bill that allows the government to waive that cost at their discretion. So basically, if you're a company that's in cahoots with the federal government, you can get H-1B visa slaves for nothing. You know, you can get them for free. But if you're not, $100,000 a year per person. They changed it like 20 times so far. It was for every visa, went for new visas each month. Now it's every year. I don't know. It's all so fucking inconsistent. The details are still being considered. Well, what is China saying? China responds to Donald Trump's 100K H-1B visa move. What, they didn't say anything? China responds, and then the text of the article. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said it would not comment on U.S. visa policies. Oh, so it doesn't. It doesn't respond, actually. Notes that China welcomes outstanding talents from across the world. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, great. Thank you, China. Phenomenal, really. Technically not wrong. I don't care. Kimmel's coming back? Someone in chat said that Kimball's coming back. You got a source on that? Disney is returning Jimmy Kimmel to air next week. It's just been announced. Forest Shade, eyes are on you. Are we talking about how Disney's back down and they're now letting Jimmy Kimmel back on air? That is what we're talking about, actually, Forest Shade. You should provide some information on that topic. Are you fucking kidding me? A Newswire link is not a source. This is. Do you have any idea how much shit comes out here? Do you have another source? It's in all caps, though. Oh. Newswire doesn't break news. They use AI to scrape headlines. So somewhere out there, there's a headline. Disney, Jimmy Kimmel, search last hour. I'm looking. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of. I
just know when the government begins to.
Howard Stern blasts ABC over Kimmel suspension, says he canceled Disney Plus subscription. I said this before. I said this in the segment I think that released like earlier today, but or maybe yesterday. I don't remember. But like, it is pretty gutsy that a bunch of Disney aligned celebrities and late night talk show hosts and the like aren't just condemning what ABC did, they're openly calling for a boycott. I think that's pretty cool. You know, I again, a lot of these people, they're pretty feckless. I'm not saying they're principled advocates or anything like that, but it's definitely more balls on the table than just saying, oh, we disagree with X or Y. More than 400 Hollywood stars have signed an open letter by the ACLU condemning Disney's indefinite suspension. Damn! They got some big names here, man. Jennifer Aniston, Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Robert De Niro, Jason Bateman, Jane Fonda, Selena Gomez, Olivia Rodrigo, Natalie Portman, Maya Rudolph, Martin Short, Joaquin Phoenix, Rooney Mara, Ben Stiller, Jamie Lee Curtis, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, whose name is a hyperlink for some reason, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Michael Keaton, Regina King, Dina Luna, and Lin-Manuel Miranda. Okay, I probably could have... Well, a lot of these people are well-known Democrats, but if only Lin-Manuel Miranda was around to have read this paragraph. Oh my God, the way you said that. It's a lot of, listen, it's easy to criticize from the fucking sidelines, isn't it, okay? You fucking circus attendees throwing peanuts at the elephant that is balancing on one foot on the ball. You fucking ghouls. See right through your sick game. John Oliver blasts Disney's decision. That's not surprising. Calls for people to cancel Disney Plus and Hulu and so on. Yeah. Okay, but where is the news claiming that he's being reinstated? And it can't be Newswire. It has to be an actual article. He actually is returning. Here's the link. Thank you. From 3 minutes ago. Jimmy Kimmel returns. ABC ends suspension starting Tuesday. Okay. MAGA is going to be really mad about this. MAGA is going to be really mad, okay? Because for a lot of them, right, they want Charlie Kirk's assassination to be the Reichstag fire. They want, like, they're using this as like a litmus test for their power, okay? Mossad can only murk so many top MAGA pundits, all right? Can only sacrifice so many of them to the first flame to build out the power of the MAGA movement. The question here, right, is, are they going to stick the landing? Is Jimmy Kimmel going to return and offer some dickless apology? So far, Kimmel has not apologized on social media, to my knowledge, which I'm happy about. If he does apologize, MAGA will take this as a win. If he doesn't apologize, I think that we invite the wrath of the MAGA movement, which will make them look really, 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 really bad, right? Like, I do not think this hysterical, whiny cancel culture craze from them looks good to a broader audience. I think it makes them look terrible. I think it makes them look weak, especially since he's coming back. I think it makes them look whiny and unfun. I think it makes them look feminine, which is worst of all. I hope that he does not apologize. Here's the language from Disney. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It's a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive, the company said in a statement. We've spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. So Disney and ABC are coming across apologetic here, but what matters is whether or not Jimmy is. If the company comes across as apologetic, but Jimmy shows up and he's like, yeah, fuck those guys. Hello. That would be ideal. Is it like Jimmy Kimmel to do that? Jimmy Kimmel is not... I don't like Jimmy Kimmel, but, like... I don't... These late night talk show hosts have to have like pretty big egos, right? I feel like on a personal level, outside of any business considerations, he's probably pretty fucking mad about what happened here. Think about it. You're Jimmy Kimmel. You're on top of the world. And over nothing, you get just straight canned. That's pretty crazy. Like, that's gotta fuck with anybody. You know? That's insane. It would fuck me up. Yeah, it'd be pretty bad. Make me feel toasty. Hold on 1 second. Please, Vosh, the sexism recently has been unfucking bearable recently, and it's causing chat to be worse and pushing women out. Let me just open your chat logs real quick. I'm a lefty who likes saying clanker. Anything I dislike is a clanker. And then yesterday, when we were looking at a video of an actual black man, he looks like he's doing blackface. Now, I'm not going to take away your free speech rights, okay? I think you have... I don't believe in cancel culture. However, glass houses, my friend. Glass houses. Your subreddit's been bitching about it lately too. Isn't that what they're for? Okay, putting a cap on this. Really hope he doesn't apologize. He has nothing to apologize about. That was an unusually funny log. Yeah, I'm really glad I checked. That worked out pretty well, huh? The Reddit has been, like, actually active lately. I think that's pretty cool. Vosh was right. I'm convinced debates are completely worthless. Took a while, but we came around to my position. Listen, okay? It's like radioactive. It's like radiation poisoning, all right? I'm just closer to the source, so it hit me a lot harder, a lot faster. Vosh is absolutely horrific. Takes the UK. He claims Zara. Oh boy, he claims Zara is the one destroying the left in the UK when she's the one who made any actual effort to join the party. She's been making public appearances, marching and speaking with and to the people, while Corbyn has just been sitting on his backside, dragging his heels for months now. No, I'm not saying Zara is an insincere leftist or that she's not, like, an organizer or anything. I'm saying that the decision to, without authorization from the party, run ahead with your own, like, payment portal and processing and like drop a membership link like that is fucking insane and guarantees that you blow up the whole thing. Like, that's just true, you know? It's not like she's a bad lefty or whatever. It's just like, that's a crazy fucking thing to do, you know? Corbyn's been openly cooperating with transphobe landlords. Yeah, you're fixating on their relative moral worth. I'm only talking about, like, that decision. Which was really dumb. But no, Zara's the one who's imploding the party because she was tired. She was sick and tired of Corbyn doing absolutely nothing. Okay. It just shows how little he pays attention to UK politics, other than to say that everything's bad and there's nothing we can do to stop the far right. He literally said he doesn't care about your party before, but all of a sudden he's an expert. No, I said I don't care about them because it seems like it's a nothing party. Literally. Your party hasn't even chosen their name. It's like a joke. Like, they fucked up the announcement because of Zara also. They fucked up the announcement, and they've been dragging their feet, and now there's this kerfuffle. Like, they're not going to get off the ground like this, you know? I think Vosh should be paying attention to what Candace Owens is saying right now. She's a neo-Nazi conspiracy theorist. Should I be? Candace Owens has been going on a rampage these past few days about what happened to Charlie Kirk, but rather than blaming the left or trans people, she's trying to conduct an investigation herself because she doesn't believe anything the FBI is saying. The reason she's doing this is because Candace Owens, like Nick Fuentes, recognized that the best way to cultivate a distinct audience from the broader MAGA slop is to break from the party in specific ways, you know? By Nick being performatively a Nazi and by being anti-Israel and a few other things, he gets to, like, cavort a different crowd, and Candace does the same thing. It's not really about what they believe, you know? You might as well open Pandora's box. There's just not much that was to say about it in a Candace Owens video. Have you seen them? They're insane. There's, like, nothing to... They are for mentally ill people. If I watched them, it would be me watching them and going, like, well, this is, like, for a mentally ill person. Like, it doesn't work on me because I'm not mentally ill. I mean, it's like ADHD, I guess. This doesn't work on ADHD people, okay? This is meant to work on schizophrenics or something. Clarification for Voss during his most recent civil function. Oh shit, spoilers. Chat has to stop with the attempts at ironic misogyny, just regular ass misogyny. Has chat been that misogynistic lately? I feel like when I see it, I call it out. It used to be worse, IMO. Dude, it used to be so much worse. I've seen like one or two woman moment recently. I feel like we're all adults here and we should be able to handle a woman moment now and again. It's not like we're not throwing some misandry into the mix, okay? You have to you have to allow it to balance itself out a little bit. We can't get too tetchy about one half of the coin that flips. Wait, when the fuck did my subreddit become full of posts about me? I thought this was like a generic, like regular subreddit, like for lefties or something. I thought, damn, it's like more me focused. That's cool. Literally r/Vosh. Well, it's r/VoshV actually. The depression stream healed us. It wasn't a depression stream. It was a introspection stream. Dude, Vosh does the same thing. He's been using the term bleeding vagina behavior a lot lately. Oh my god, I used it twice. You people are insufferable. I can't believe you. The country's dying and I can't even have fun. The mods are deleting everything not related to me. Isn't that like, doesn't that make the subreddit good? When did you say that, Lamau? I think I said it about Pam Bondi. About Pam Bondi doing the hate speech is not free speech thing. I think it might have been that. Look at this beautiful cup. Mug. Oh yeah, the new California law. I completely forgot about that, man. Hold on. That shit rules. Oh, Fox News is mad about it.
Unmarked cars, people en masse, people quite literally disappearing, no due process, no rights in a democracy where we have rights. Immigrants have rights. And we have the right to stand up and push back. And that's what we're doing here today. This is a disgrace. This is an outrage, what we have allowed to happen in this country. And I could not be more proud of this legislature, the legislative authors, to the community demanding more from all of us at this moment to push back. I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
I wonder if they're actually going to be able to enforce this. I genuinely don't know if this, I don't know how much this tests the bounds of his legal authority. Gavin Newsom's attempt to block authorities from wearing masks during immigration enforcement operations is facing legal scrutiny as critics push back on the governor's effort to assert power over federal officers. Ban state and federal law enforcement from wearing masks on the job, a move that the Trump administration officials decried as illegal and vowed to ignore. The bill is set to take effect in January. I just don't know, like, are we going to see local police do this? Like, what are they, like, what is this going to look like? Like federal police, like a roving car full of ICE agents gets stopped by LAPD and they're like, hey, take your masks off. I don't know how much, like, in practice this is going to happen. If I recall correctly, police can actually arrest ICE guys. Yeah, they can. But does that mean they will? Acting U.S. Attorney Bill Esseley of the Central District of California said on Fox and Friends on Monday he did not think Newsom's bill was enforceable. Governor might try to file a lawsuit, run to a judge to get some kind of order, but we're very confident. What? Wait, why would he need to get an order from a judge? The law stands for itself. What do you mean? The state of California does not and cannot have jurisdiction? Yes, it does. It's a state. It's in the state of California. Why would he need a ruling from a judge? It's already law. Likely raise the separation of powers supremacy clause. Part of the Constitution says federal law trumps state law. Romani says while states can impose reasonable restrictions on federal law enforcement, such as traffic violations, dictating what the officers wear is different. Is it really? I don't think that's true at all. Like, the states are not allowed to prohibit the federal government from enacting the basic necessary functions of the federal government. Like, a state government cannot enact laws that prevent the FBI from doing what they want to do. But there are still, like, a lot of protections the state gets. Remember back when Texas prevented Joe Biden from accessing Texas's portion of the national border? Even though Joe Biden had sent federal agents down to Texas, Greg Abbott still blocked them from actually accessing the border. Bosch, I'm an attorney for the state government. Supremacy clause will likely prohibit this because the state cannot tax or regulate federal activity. Well, but it can't regulate federal activity, but it can regulate behaviors within the state as long as it's deemed reasonable. It doesn't impede the ability of the state or the federal government to function to prevent them from wearing masks while conducting their ICE raids. So I think you could reasonably argue that it's not an essential challenge to the rights and responsibilities of the federal government. But if that's the case, that would be up to the federal government to bring a lawsuit, not Gavin Newsom. One second. California mask ban.
Well, over the weekend, California became the first state to ban most law enforcement officers, including federal agents, from covering their faces during operations. So in this bill signing on Saturday, Governor Gavin Newsom said the state is pushing back against the practice of masked agents detaining people on the streets.
The impact of these policies all across this city, our state and nation are terrifying. It's like a dystopian sci-fi movie. Unmarked car.
Man, look at how much better this kid looks because he's wearing a fucking tie rather than our slob of a California governor.
People en masse, people quite literally disappearing. Immigrants have rights. And we have the right to stand up and push back. And that's what we're doing here today.
immigration raids in Los Angeles that prompted protests and led President Trump to deploy the National Guard there. This new California law is set to take effect in January. It is, though, expected to face legal challenges.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. Danny, good morning.
I guess it really will just come down to whether or not a judge considers to be like a fundamental imposition on the federal government's ability to enforce their laws.
We are getting some pushback here from Trump administration officials, and I want to pull up also a post on X. This is from the acting U.S. attorney for the Central District of California, essentially saying the state does not have jurisdiction over the federal government and adding that the ban has no effect on their operations. Danny, is there truth to that? Can federal agents be required to follow a state's law?
No. And this is a ban that is not going to last long in the courts. I mean, this goes back to, and I can't believe I'm citing one of these cases, 1819, McCulloch v. Maryland. The Congress tried to set up a national bank, and Maryland tried to tax it. And the Supreme Court said hundreds of years ago that you can't do that as a state. You can't interfere.
That's taxing. That's different.
With federal operations when federal agents are carrying out their lawful duties under color of law. You can't regulate their uniform. You can't regulate virtually anything about what they do.
Find an existing, any existing jurisprudence saying that you can't regulate the uniform. Find that.
I'm a criminal defense attorney. I'm very aware of this. The FBI, they do what they want to do. They don't listen to local police or local laws. I mean, it's just something that...
Okay, what about traffic laws? What about traffic laws? Does the federal government follow like a template of laws when it comes to how they should drive on the road that they just apply to every state regardless of what the specific rules are in that area? Federal agents are capable of violating state law. It's not like state law binds federal agents. If a federal officer goes into a state and commits a state crime, and most of the time when you commit a crime, it's under state law, they can be arrested by local police or state police. Like you could then argue like, okay, well, do you think that federal officers should be above state law then? Because what if they get charged with violating a state law while conducting a federal operation? Doesn't that impede them? Well, no, obviously, like if they commit crimes, you know, like there are chains on them. There are like bounds to their behavior.
The state of California cannot do. So will it face legal challenges? Yes. And those challenges will be successful. You know, I don't like to forecast one way or another. This one seems like a clear loser.
Well, yeah, what do the next steps look like here? Obviously, we assume the Trump administration wants to challenge this. How do they do that?
They go to court. Likely federal court, and I imagine they'll lose at the district court, the Court of Appeals, and then I don't even know that the Supreme Court would take it up because to me, it's a pretty clear and settled area of the law. As I said, it's one of the foundational cases that we talk about in law school, along with Marbury v. Madison. The next one you bring up is McCulloch v. Maryland, and that has been the law for centuries, literally.
Governor Newsom also signed legislation Saturday. This prevents immigration agents from entering schools, healthcare facilities without a warrant. Do undocumented immigrants have legal protections in these spaces? Do you think that is going to face any legal pushback?
Well, that's a great question because whether or not they have protection is still separate from the issue of can the states regulate the way that federal law enforcement or federal agents carry out their duties? And the answer is probably not. Before we even reach the individual liberties of people and whether or not parents need to be notified or whether or not California can even regulate that, they probably can. They can regulate what the schools do. They can say to the schools, thou shalt notify the parents if ICE agents show up. What they can't do is tell ICE agents how to carry out their law enforcement activities. So that, too, is likely to face challenge. It's not as clearly going to be struck down as, say, regulating face masks, but I think it's also likely to get struck down as well.
We'll have to see. Genuinely, I think that you can make an argument in both directions. Hold on. I want a local news take.
The legislation signed today by Governor Newsom is among several new bills designed to protect the state's immigrant community. ABC 7 News reporter Cornell Bernard details next steps and the response from the Department of Homeland Security.
Immigrants have rights, and we have the right to stand up and push back. And that's what we're doing.
Governor Gavin Newsom speaking in Los Angeles, where he signed the so-called No Secret Police Act, sponsored by State Senator Scott Wiener, banning ICE agents from covering their faces during immigration raids.
ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? If you're going to go out and you're going to do enforcement, provide an ID. Tell us which agency you represent. Provide us basic information that all local law enforcement is required to provide.
The ban is California's direct response to immigration raids statewide.
Give me fucking prescriptive statements.
And murderers. Political
doing is seeing the federal government ignore these rules so he can then bring it to the courts. And I have a feeling that that's really where this fight is going to take place, with, Gavin on one side of the decision and President Trump on the other.
Late Saturday, the acting U.S. attorney posting on X, the state of California has no jurisdiction over the federal government.
Okay, there was nothing new from this. It was my mistake. Everyone unsubscribe as quickly as you can. Thank you. If you were Mamdani, what would you do now, considering Kimmel's going to be put back on? What does that have to do with Kimmel? Also, give me the autism live stream. Zohran Mamdani withdraws from ABC Town Hall in protest of Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. God, he's so fucking based. That's on Thursday? He should stay out. Punish him. Sometimes you guys give me the most random fucking links. Fox 9 Minneapolis St. Paul? Like that was your poll? No hate, it's the same feed, but we'll go with the Independent. Have you seen the Charlie Kirk memorial service? That was crazy. You mean the evangelical preacher standing up and being like, who here has not been saved by Christ? Oh, you haven't? Everyone stand up? Okay, here, scan this QR code. It was pretty fucking funny, yeah. Hi, we already talked about it. Boycotts do work. I don't think the boycotts are why Jimmy Kimmel is coming back to air. I think that there's like a wide... Why is it everyone's really desperate to prove to me boycotts work? Listen, I don't think it's bad to boycott. Like, black shoppers avoiding Target after they cut the DEI programs did lead to a noticeable drop in the profitability of Target, okay? I'm not anti-boycott broadly. It's just that historically, they have been a very ineffective way of protesting the behavior of corporations. They mostly exist to make you feel good and to allow you to browbeat other people with good intentions. I have not canceled my Disney Plus and Hulu subscriptions because I don't give a shit, all right? I don't care. And you know what? You're not a vegan. Fuck you. But I bet you right now there's a twinge in a bunch of people watching, some primal urge in them to prove that they're better than me by indicating that they did. Listen, buddy, that's great. My problem with boycotts is not people boycotting. I've just seen what it does to well-intentioned people. Don't you remember? Remember the fucking Starbucks boycotting? Keep in mind, again, Starbucks did not support Israel. The Starbucks boycott was initiated because Starbucks did not want the Starbucks union using the Starbucks official logo as part of PR briefs decrying Israel. Which is, I mean, look, fuck Israel. But from Starbucks' perspective, I understand that because it's not Starbucks making the statement. It's the union, which isn't an official rep for the company. And people took that as Starbucks giving money to Israel. And what happened to Starbucks afterwards? Nothing. What happened to the left afterwards? Millions and millions and millions and millions of likes and retweets and follows and whatever else dedicated to shaming people for being in public with Starbucks cups. There were TikToks with 500,000 likes where people are like, bestie, that's not what I think it is. And it's like a person holding a Starbucks cup or whatever, okay? It did nothing to Starbucks. It was just a way to browbeat other people. Starbucks sucks anyway. Yes, that is true. And I live in Seattle, so like it would be insane for me to get my coffee from Starbucks. I know Starbucks started here, but, you know, there's a lot of good coffee shops here. Damn, dude, there are 11,000 people watching. The streams have been doing well lately, probably because the country is dying. It's unfortunate that I have a job where the my like well-being, my prosperity is inversely proportional to the health of the country. A little unfortunate. Yeah, I'm like a war profiteer. I'm like Tony Stark. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying the stream. We're all wacky here. Okay. What if I'm not wacky? Then I don't know what you're doing here. I can't believe the top post on my subreddit right now is saying that I'm sexist. What the fuck, you guys? No solidarity. Aren't you? No, I'm such a performative male. I'm not sexist at all. I'm so chill with it. I had a friend, she was like, "Oh, sorry, hold on 1 second. My fucking cramps." And I'm like, "Oh, you're on your period? That sucks, bro." And I didn't even make a big deal of it. Basically, I'm like the greatest ally, is what I'm saying. Trump files emergency SCOTUS motion. Ugh. We'll take a look at this after the autism announcement. That's so noble of you. Thank you. I appreciate that, yeah. Jesus is king. That's true. Does anyone else think that it's a little bit weird that the enduring slogan there is Jesus is king, when we all know that, like, Jesus wouldn't be king? Listen, I know it's from the Bible, and I know that when they say Jesus is king, they mean Jesus is the heavenly king, okay? But he would make, like, an awful king on earth. We all know that, right? Like, Christians know that, right? Because, like, a real king in real life would have to be like, we have finite resources. We have to make tough decisions, you know? And Jesus is too much of a hippie. He wouldn't have, like, the sauce for the tough leadership decisions. Jesus was fully man and fully divine, okay? But being fully man means that he would struggle with those decisions, as he did as a man before he rose again. He's King of Kings. Yeah, so shouldn't the slogan be Jesus is King of Kings rather than Jesus is King? Because to me, Jesus is King makes him sound like a war god. It's like it makes him sound like he's a conquering deity, which is bullshit, right? If you say Jesus is King of Kings, then it's like, okay, so he's above that designation. He's the king of the. I think that sounds a lot nicer too. What are you on about? If I try to pick you up, will you run? Yeah, you'll run. Now hold on. What do you do? What do you do? Yeah. She's squeaking. What are you squeaking about? How's that working out for you? Whoa. I don't think Jesus would have to worry about resources. He can literally duplicate things like with the bread and the fish. Do you think God was pissed with him when he got up there after that? God was like, listen, Earth is a morality test for mortals. If you just give people free shit, you can't see how they act when they're fighting over finite resources. You have to, come on. Like, that was unfair. No one else is going to get that. Like, you were the one guy. And now for all time afterwards, humans are going to have like a non-magic morality test. Imagine being Judas, man. Imagine being the one guy who wouldn't have to take divinity on faith, and you still fuck it up. Couldn't be me. I'm not Urushamia Battler. Holy shit. Umaneko, but in in Nazareth or whatever. That would be fucking funny. Jesus Christ trying to convince Battler over and over again that he is the Son of God, and he's like, Battler's like, you could have fit 2 loaves of bread, like a second loaf of bread might have been up your sleeve. Oh man. That would be fucking funny. What's Umaneko even about? I don't fucking know. I'm only 4 chapters in. I'm only like 800,000 words in. Fake fan. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Been watching Joseph Anderson play it. After 2,000 years, Jesus still reigns. Okay, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like you're misselling Jesus Christ, right? Like, Jesus Christ, he took the original, he bore the original sin, thus freeing all of us from it and allowing us to like carve our own path morally. Okay, like I get that. Okay, he tanked that, but like reigns, Jesus is king, Jesus reigns. All of these things make it seem like Jesus is making our decisions for us, but the whole point is that he wasn't, right? I'm not trying to contradict you like in a divinity studies way. I'm just saying, as an atheist, I never really got that rhetoric, like, because I thought the whole point of Christ was that he was meant to be like a gift to man that was squandered, but he was so selfless that his final act was redeeming humanity for its fundamental sin, thus allowing all of us to live out a morality test on earth to determine whether our souls are worthy to join him in the kingdom of heaven or go down to hell and get poked with sticks or whatever, you know? I just don't really get the Jesus reigns stuff. Like, I don't understand where that comes from. It's Protestant slop. Do Catholics say stuff like that? Do Catholics... No, Catholics say Jesus is king, don't they? Or is that just like trad cats? Catholic converts? It's just the trad cats? Okay. Polish Catholics do? Catholics say he's King of Kings. But King of Kings sounds fine to me. That, to me, sounds fine, because that doesn't make it sound like he's ruling over you. That's just a reaffirmation that, like, beyond the mortal plane, beyond, like, mortal authority, he presides, you know? Which makes sense. Orthodox don't say it for sure. Yeah, but no one knows what the fuck Orthodox people be about. Big hats? Looking kind of Muslim-y? Nobody knows. Sorry about, like, Constantinople or whatever. Still feel bad about that. $14.53, worst year of my life. You know it, brother. You know it. Jesus is king is just another tool to feed people in need of monarchism. All I'm saying is that if I was a Christian and I believed in Christ, and I'm not and I don't, but if I was and I did, I would never want to say stuff like Christ is king, because that shit to me feels like a total rejection of the point of his message, not just in the sense that he was a hippie or whatever, but if the whole thing here is a morality test, we're meant to make our own decisions. Yeah, king is just so earthly. It feels beneath him, honestly. Jesus is king. A lot of guys have been king. King, that's a hereditary position. That's a lot of idiot, water-brained, incestuous numbskulls have been king. King of kings is a little more lofty. It's a poor translation of the Greek line that loses some of the context. Okay. Did you know there's still parts of Jesus's crucifix that exist today? Well, like allegedly his crucifix, but sure. I think I probably believe that Jesus existed and was crucified. That he was like a cult leader of kind. I just mean cult because Christianity was small back then, obviously. And it kind of grew from there. I heard this once from Twitter. I don't know if it's true, but like I heard one of the reasons historians believe Christ was real was that back then nobody would choose to make up a story about how their god was a pussy who died like a bitch. Because back then all the gods were like war gods. Like, if you go in, like, all the pagan religions up north or whatever, it's like, oh, my god's like a huge dude with a hammer. Well, my god's like a tree that shoots lightning or whatever. And then you're like, well, my god was a humble carpenter who was executed unjustly after being betrayed by a friend. But he, like, loves us, you know? So the idea being, why would you totally make that up? You would have to have some kind of core belief. That's not a good, like, opening line to proselytize over in an era when people mostly like made gods to mimic the behavior of men, you know? I don't know. The main evidence is there's a ton of secondary writing from lots of non-Christians 10 to 50 years later, mainly Romans complaining about the new crazy Jewish group. Yeah, I mean, that's as good of evidence as any. So a guy lived and died, you know. He must have been pretty cool back then, though, right? Like, even if the whole thing, if it's just like a random guy, he must have been pretty cool to inspire all those people. I thought it was an anti-Roman cult. Well, it was. Right? Because the Romans believed in the war gods. That was the thing. Like the Romans, they literally had a god of war, right? Ares. Wait, no, that's the Greek god of war. Who is the Roman god of war? Mars. That's right. Thank you. Yeah, they had the planetary gods. But yeah, like all the Roman gods were all just like big swaggering muscle dudes up on Roman Mount Olympus or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know shit about the Roman pantheon. I think a lot of people don't, because the Greek pantheon's been a lot more enduring in popular culture, which is funny. Probably because Christianity took over the Roman Empire, right? Otherwise, the Roman pantheon would probably be like much more well known. In the Bible, Jesus had to explain to his followers time and time again that he didn't mean he was going to kill all Romans, but that he was the king in heaven, not on earth. He was so real for that. They deified their emperors and forced people to include them in their pantheon, which for monotheists was a big no-no. Yeah, monotheism also was, like, not popular back then. Polytheists are so funny. What's that anecdote we read about? We literally read it on Wikipedia. That when the conquistadors went over to the New World and talked with the Aztecs and the other Mesoamerican tribes or whatever, they talked about Jesus Christ. And after they figured out the translation bit, the Mesoamerican tribes were like, oh, you have a god called Jesus. That's sick, dog. Like, here's our gods. We got, like, big flaming... Your god's like a scrawny guy who's on a cross. Our god's like this big, like, fire lizard with wings. We've got, like, crazy shit like that. But that's cool, too, you know? They just totally folded him into the pantheon. They were like, okay, I guess there's a big island somewhere out east, and they have their own god. It's pretty funny to think about. You sure about that? Well, yeah, like, wouldn't that make sense? A lot of monotheistic religions, for them, like, a god was like a physical thing that existed somewhere on the earth and fulfilled a physical role. Like, a lot of old pagan gods were like that. This is the god of the lightning and the thunder and the rain and so on. For the, like, the Japanese Shinto, they're like, damn, every fucking river is actually a dragon. Every rock has, like, a little spirit gnome in it or something, you know? Don't be mean to the tree or its ghost will attack you. You know? So, of course, like, sure, yeah, you come from across the sea, you've got a god over there. Sure, okay, I guess that's a god over there. It's animism? Yeah, I mean, if it keeps you respecting your shrines, I guess. It's funny because old Judaism acknowledges the existence of other gods. Yeah, that's true, right? In the Old Testament, they were like, okay, we know there's lots of gods, but this one's like the real deal. Wasn't it kind of like that in the Prince of Egypt? Because, like, okay, in the Prince of Egypt, I think it's a little bit ambiguous whether or not the Egyptians have deities. Because their priests are kind of like tricksters. Like, it's clear they're using like flash powder and like tricks of the light and stuff to do their miracles. But I think there's also kind of an implication of real power present there, just very, very minimal compared to the power of God. Judaism is not monotheistic, it's henotheistic. Well, I think now it's monotheistic, right? I don't think there are any Jews praying to, like, other gods out there. I mean, it's in practice. Just back then, people thought gods were everywhere. They were in your fucking soup bowl, you know? Prince of Egypt is Christian propaganda. I mean, it's a good story. I don't know. Prince of Egypt is probably the only piece... Well, I mean, it's I guess technically it's like Jewish propaganda, but, like, you can... It's all Abrahamic. It's one of the only, like, big, high-budget pieces of, like, religious media that treats it more like mythology than theology, and I think that's the reason why people like it. It doesn't preach, basically. It just treats it as though, like, this is a cool story that this is, like, a cool lore, you know? I don't think it's really good propaganda because, like, nobody believes in that Old Testament God anymore, really. Like, when Jews and Christians talk about God, neither of them are talking about God, like, parentheses, the guy who, killed all them kids, end parentheses. Like, obviously, that's still part of the broader mythology, but that's not really what they're, like, that's not entirely what they're talking about. What about Muslims? I don't know as much about Islam. I haven't seen Islamic Prince of Egypt. When they make Prince of Egypt, except it's about Muhammad, and I assume they're going to have to leave out a few parts of that, you know, then maybe I'll learn more. I don't know. American Christians do? No, not really. Not really, no. American Christians do not, like, they only pull from the Old Testament to be homophobic or whatever. For the most part, when American Christians are talking about God, they're talking about, like, Jesus Christ. Well, they're not even talking about the Bible, man. No one reads the fucking Bible. That shit's lame. It's boring, okay? No one reads that shit. But even then, that's not the Bible. That's the Torah or whatever. You can't show Muhammad's face. How funny would it be if they did the Prince of Egypt, but for Muhammad? But in order to get around that, Muhammad is like the parents in like early season Dexter's Laboratory or Tom and Jerry, where the frame just cuts off like above the neck, you know what I mean? So it's a bunch of people around Muhammad who are all shorter than him, and the story plays out like that, but it's just always not quite showing enough. You just see like the up to the shoulder line. Islamic cartoons show Muhammad as a ball of light. I don't really get that. Why is their prophet not allowed to be depicted? I would understand if you can't depict God, because like Christians don't really like depicting God usually. If you're doing it in a cartoony way, okay, it's not like a big deal, but like in the Prince of Egypt, God is a burning bush, right? Like usually God is like more metaphorical in the Christian or depiction, and I guess in the Jewish depiction too. Why for them? Why with the prophet? Because they don't say that Muhammad was the son of God, right? Because it would lead to idolatry? I guess. In places of worship, they can't depict any living creatures. It's to prevent idolatry. Is this a historical Islamic thing, or is this like a post-Wahhabist 19th century, we're really mad at Westerners, so we're going to radicalize kind of Islamic thing? It's historical? Okay, okay. They did make the Prince of Egypt, but for Muhammad? Muhammad, the last prophet. Film focuses on the early day of Islam and Muhammad. In accordance with Islamic law and tradition, Muhammad and the first four caliphs are not depicted in the film or any of its prequels. You can't depict the first four caliphs as well? Scenes that include Muhammad are shown from his perspective. From his perspective? Holy shit, is that like second person depiction? That's crazy. I guess that's not idolatry. That's so weird. How does that work? That's pretty cool. That makes me want to see it. The film follows Muhammad's first year as a prophet, starting with Islam's beginning in Mecca, which the Muslims are persecuted, the exodus to Medina, the ending of the Muslims trying to return to Mecca, a number of crucial events such as the Battle of Badr. Yeah, I don't know anything about any of this, man. I guess it's easier to understand Jesus lore because dude didn't do shit, right? Jesus was literally like just a chill guy hanging out until they got his ass. It's a much simpler. I guess Moses wandered in the desert for fucking 50 years. It's fully on YouTube. I'm actually really curious. I guess I've just had a difficult time learning anything about Islam because historical and contemporary Islam are so different. I know that like modern day Christianity. So the first thing you know about Christianity today is no one reads the Bible, right? But even then there's the three main schisms, right? There's Protestants, Catholics, and Orthodox. And then within the Protestants, there's other schisms, like Mormons are basically not even Christian. And then you have evangelicals who are like the crazy Protestant. So there's like a million variants, but it's easy for me to get because I'm an American, right? Like I've been in this environment, basically. I don't know much about Orthodox, but like in terms of Catholic, Protestant, Mormon, whatever, I've been around it, you know. And Judaism, I grew up in Beverly Hills. So I'm pretty familiar with at least a significant portion of the broader belief structure. You know, I've been to the bar mitzvahs, I've been to the bat mitzvahs, and so on. I was given the script in Hebrew and pretended to read along with everyone else as best as I could, you know. But yeah, I guess it's like, because there's such a difference between historical and contemporary Islam. Such a difference. My understanding, and I'm not even talking about the Sunni Shia split, my understanding, or all the hadiths, my understanding is like, Islam was keeping its train along for a while, and then the Islamic world went fucking pants on head crazy because of Western colonialism, and they were all like, what if we just what if we all turned into the Joker? What if the entire Islamic world just turned into the fucking Joker? And it's our fault. Like, we did it, you know. to create like Wahhabism and Osama bin Laden, the entire fucking Saudi royal family, like all of it is born out of like the relationship between Western colonialism and the Islamic world. This shit didn't happen to any other major religion, at least not that I'm aware of. Like an entire major world religion getting recontextualized in a brief window of a colonial period. I guess maybe it might have happened in the New World, but I have no idea what happened to a bunch of Mesoamerican religions. I guess, yeah, I don't know enough about that. The message is better known. That's not animated. That can't be like the Prince of Egypt. In Islam, you can't draw any faces, period. That's why old Islamic art isn't of people, it's of patterns. I guess that's why they have the world's most beautiful mosaics. Wait! Is that why? Is that why the Islamic world historically has been, like, goated with the sauce? When it comes to mosaic and, like, carpet making and shit? Because they're like, well, if we can't draw fat-ass baddies with the cleavage, then we might as well channel our creative energy into really cool fucking patterning? Huh, that's crazy. It's funny because despite us Iranians having the most strictly Islamic government, we're pretty secular. I once drew a picture of Muhammad in the corner of my notebook in class, showed my friend that he slapped me, and he said, no, this is how you draw him, and drew a penis. That's funny. Spirit of humanity carries on. No matter what. They can never silence us. You can show faces in Islam. In Iran and Central Asia, they even depict Muhammad's face historically. So much interesting stuff here. I don't know. There's loads of art of people in the Islamic world. It might have been like some areas where they just de-emphasized drawing people. I do feel like I remember hearing at some point that there was a greater emphasis on like patterning and architectural drawings in some parts of the Islamic world in some time periods, but I'm sure it's really varied. We are talking about a religion of over 1 billion people, so it's not like, you know. Dog, they are never fucking coming out here to talk about autism. Most Muslims don't believe in Islam either in my experience. I lived in Turkey for years. Okay, I'm stopping you right there, okay? You can't... Turkey is not a fair litmus test on the sincerity of Islamic belief. I think most Muslims would probably contest that, you know? Really depends on what Islam you pick. In the Ottomans, you could show Muhammad's face, and in Central Asia, it might be a Turk thing. Man, listen, okay? I'm not defending them, and I feel like the Ottoman Empire should not have stretched that far northwest. However, I feel like the world might be a lot more stable if the Ottoman Empire had not gone out the way it did. You know? I feel that the way that shit fell apart was not... I'm not doing Ottoman apologia. I'm only saying the way in which it fell apart ended up... It was self-inflicted? Yeah, to a large extent. They got a little wacky with it. It lasted for 500 years. Yeah, and then it went out like a bitch. The Balkans are the fault of the Turks. That's fucking facts. We can't do empires anymore. Empires can't exist because everyone's too racist. Everyone believes in nationalism. You can't have empires and nationalism at the same time. They're incompatible. Empires expand and encompass other nations. They encompass like a wide variety of ethnic groups, you know? That's how the Roman Empire... People like fucking marble statue avies on Twitter will be like, well, the Roman Empire was basically the precursor to the modern white ethno-state. You look at a map of the Roman Empire and it's like, brother, half of these people are like as black gets. This is not a white ethno-state. These were not proto-Nazis. Everyone here is some kind of brown. They're all Mediterranean. Half of the empire is the Middle East and North Africa, man. Because we used to consider people the most important resource. That was how all human history was for thousands of years, up until Europeans discovered that you can put boom juice in a stick and make it go blat, and then someone in front of you dies. For like all of human history, the most important factor in like a nation or an empire's power is how many people it had. Like fundamentally, that was the important part. And then the West got a technological boom for a wide variety of reasons. And we're kind of returning a little bit, you know, with the demographic crisis being where it is. Now that the average Westoid / Japanese / South Korean has approximately 0.1 children per woman, you know, where there's going to be like hegemonic Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African sort of trading and political blocks that the West is going to be more or less locked out of due to spite. And why would they? Of course, their ability to unite is going to come down to their ability to overcome their regional differences, you know? Like, in order for that to be a real threat to the West, the 50 trillion ethnic groups in Africa are going to need to agree on one thing, which is at least they're not white. And the South Asian, listen, India and Pakistan, my brothers in Christ, to us Westoids, you guys look the same. I'm sorry, we really don't know what's going on over there. You need to unite against the white threats. Did you hear about Liv Agar inheriting an Ottoman sword? Yeah, she's so cool for that. Did you see Liv Agar going blue? Yes, I saw Liv Agar going blue. Waiting on them to talk about autism. Me too, buddy. Me too. Why did mostly white countries go through the Industrial Revolution? Isn't that wild? It wasn't really about them being white. I think it was just about, like, Western Europe being the... I mean, so a couple of things fueled this, right? So, on one hand, the weather in Europe is really fucking good. Like, in terms of crop efficiency, the availability of livestock, and trade routes. You have like a lot going on over there, I think, that can kind of like fuel development and growth in a way that in a way that's not like evenly distributed. Not for long. Okay, well we're talking historically. What you have to understand though is that like the technological supremacy of the West is a blip in historical terms. For hundreds of years, the Islamic world was undeniably the center of human civilization in terms of like technology, culture, progress, art, governance, you know. And China, China's had the longest, like they've had multiple periods of time where they were like the undisputed center of the world. We don't even talk about that. We're out there learning about like what France was like in 900. Buddy, France in 900 was like a shit pile. England in 900 AD, they were all blowing bubbles in the swamp. Like China was out there doing crazy shit, doing tricks on it. Then and way back then, you know? So right now we all talk like, oh, you know, the West reigns supreme, but we're seeing the end of that right now. The West is not any more technologically advanced meaningfully than China. Like China is industrializing at a rapid pace. They have access to the same technology that we do. In fact, when it comes to machining and tooling, they're ahead of us. Like they have tech that we don't. They're developing and they have a larger population than we do, you know? And that's just China, one country, versus the continent of Europe and America. You know what the population of Africa is going to be when all things settle down? What about India? Like, people, you think these technological bumps are going to matter in the long run? Like the relative level of, just understand this, okay? Understand this. 70 years ago, most of the countries in Western Europe that we now consider to be relatively advanced were bombed out from the war and pretty dilapidated. France, Germany, England in the 1950s, these countries were poor. They lived on rations. They were rebuilt by us. And now, through relative stability, they've been able to build themselves back up, and we consider them to be, you know, developed and economically prosperous for the most part. America has benefited from our economic supremacy for a long time. Japan as well, yeah. But, like, that's recent. If you were to ask a person back in, like, 1949, hey, you know, so you think, like, the West, like America, and also countries like Germany and France and England and stuff, we're all, like, the light of the civilized world, right? We're all like on top technologically. There's a huge gulf here, massive one. Europe was devastated by the war, absolutely devastated. That language just wouldn't really like work as well back then. Also, they would shoot you because you would have sounded like a Nazi, you know? Likewise, yeah, if you go back to the 1600s, pre-Enlightenment Europe, right? Most of Europe was a feudal shit pit. Like, the Holy Roman Empire was a joke. Bismarck wouldn't be around to unite these fucking mini-states for 1,000,000 years, okay? What was Italy then? A bunch of city-states? A bunch of wealth concentrated from... Do you have any idea how poor most of Europe was for most of civilization? Like, most of... up until the past 100 years? The average Italian, the average Spanish person, the average German, the average French was probably on par with, in terms of poverty, as like a Chinese or Indian person back then, or at least comparable, prior to Western imperialism. Like if you go to 1600s or whatever, you know, no matter where in the world you go, it's like people just barely scraping by a subsistence living, you know? Non-Mediterranean Europe was pretty poor, and Mediterranean Europe, like again, Italy and most of Spain were really, really poor, even during the relative heydays of those states. Oh, thank God. Good ramble though. That was a good one. Good ramble. Good hustle, team. Oh, good night, y'all. Oil caused the Industrial Revolution? No, it didn't. Coal did. Well, a lot of things did, but coal was the primary driver. Oil wasn't as big of a deal until later.
Thank you very much.
Wait, hold on. Body double? Body double?
So I've been waiting for this meeting for 20 years, actually.
Ooh.
And
ever
it's
since
not that everything's
Barron was born.
100% understood or known, but I think we've made a lot of strides. Wish it was done a long time ago. Today, we're delighted to be joined by America's top medical and public health professionals as we announce historic steps to confront the crisis of autism. Horrible, horrible crisis. I want to thank the man who brought this issue to the forefront of American politics along with me. And we actually met in my office, is it like 20 years ago, Bobby? It's probably 20 years ago in New York. I was a developer, as you probably heard, and I always had very strong feelings about autism and how it happened and where it came from. And he and I don't know, the word got out, and I wouldn't say that people were very understanding of where we were, but it's turning out that we understood a lot more than a lot of people who studied it, we think. And I say we think because I don't think they were really letting the public know what they knew. Thanks as well.
What the fuck is he saying? I don't really care about hitting this on the live. I just want to preempt this. We know this announcement is going to have something to do with Tylenol. The argument being, I guess, that Tylenol consumption for pregnant women increases the likelihood of autism development. I think this claim is minimally supported, but largely contested. They're announcing whatever they can, right? A lot of people have been really confused by like the direction of the administration on this. Keep in mind, and I am going to ramble, so just give me a second, okay? Like, Nazis are obsessed with this. Fascists are obsessed with this. Puring or purifying the people, right? Identifying dysgenics, identifying illness, identifying social toxins, and eradicating them. And it's one of the reasons why, like, those autism speaks types, you know, moms giving their kids like bleach enemas or whatever to cure the autism. These people love Trump, okay? This kind of like wacko conspiracy nut, fake health advocate, you know, these people adore Trump because they're highly conspiratorial. They're usually not very intelligent. They're often relatively wealthy, but their wealth hasn't correlated to their education. You know, they feel frustrated. They feel like they have no outlet. They feel like they're under attack, and this is their like war against that corrosive force on their child. Conservatives often view this as like a broader theory. They view this broader theory in the context of a lot of things, like, for example, being trans. That's why they talk about being gay or being trans as a social contagion. It's really important for them. They don't want to believe humans can just be like this. They want to believe that it has to be some kind of like poison that can be extricated from humanity.
Well, to the director of the National Institute of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary. These are great people. Administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, and Acting Assistant Secretary of HHS, Dr. Dorothy Fink. So thank you all. Thank you, Dorothy, very much. The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I accidentally hit play on a Silk Song clip on Twitter, forgetting that Twitter would make the audio happen. Since I've been caught, I'll provide the clip. That's what I looked at. So now we'll go back to this. Sorry.
Not a long time. And I've always heard, you know, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that. It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31. But in some areas, it's much worse than that, if you can believe it. 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California where they have a...
I don't think that's true. 1 in 12? Maybe, the way you people act.
For some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And now we're at the level of 1 in 12 in some cases for boys. 1 in 31 overall. So since 2000...
I've said this before, by the way, and I'll say it again. Autism, like most other mental conditions that we identify and diagnose via subjective criteria, is influenced by external factors, social behaviors. I think that in the world we live in today, where it is easier and easier to be isolated or to attach yourself to stuff on your like phone or computer screen, it's easier and easier to kind of like remove yourself from social situations and to, for lack of a better term, become autistic. I think that autism can be, to use a really inelegant like set of terms, learned and unlearned. Not to say it can always be learned or unlearned, much in the same way that, say, being a fan of a particular kind of food is like a learned behavior, in the sense that there are things you can do to like foster an enjoyment for something, or, you know, do the opposite. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have full control over it. I think that it is bad that more and more people are becoming socially incompetent. I do not think that it's bad to be autistic. Whether or not you are autistic is, to me, irrelevant. What matters to me, I guess, is like facilitating overall, you know, good social health. Can I unlearn my autistic behaviors? I think that there are some behaviors that you can change about yourself and some you probably can't. It's up to the individual. For example, there's a wide host of behaviors considered autistic, like, say, for example, sensory sensitivity, hyperfixations, you know, a wide variety of things, some kinds of like difficulties in reading social cues. And all of these things, at the end of the day, at least to some extent or another, are skills. They're attributes that can be affected by your behavior and what you try to expose yourself to. Like, if you tend to have a sensitivity to sounds, for example, there are probably experiences you can have that make you a little bit more resilient to them, but that's no guarantee you'll ever not be sensitive to them. That's just how it is. That's how the mask is. All my classes. Exactly.
Autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation. And the first day all of these great doctors behind me were there, I told them, this is what we have to find out. Because when you go from 20,000...
Source, I made it up. No, we've gone over a bunch of literature on stream before, because people usually get really defensive when this comes up. It's why I'm talking so quickly, to try to preempt people getting mad at me in chat. Before I was made to talk to hundreds of people a day under hostile circumstances on a Mormon mission, I was way more socially inept. Yeah, the ability to read social cues is a skill. Many things are skills or can be developed. Personalities shift. Your character changes. You're moldable, right? You are not just like an inept weakling left cowering in the face of your unchanging personality. The reason I think it's important to bring this up is just because if you don't believe there's any socially attributable cause to this, you have to accept the right-wing position that we are experiencing a rapidly increasing epidemic in people having autism. And I think that's a really dangerous thing to believe, because then you either need to accept, like, are our diagnostic criteria really getting that much more sensitive? No, not enough to account for this rise. Or you have to say, like, okay, well then there must be some kind of influence or poison, if you prefer, that's making us like this. I reject these assertions. I think that the world has gotten, very different in the past 100 years. Different behaviors are being rewarded and prioritized, and our personalities are changing on average because of it.
1,000 to 10,000, and then you go to 12. There's something artificial. They're taking something. And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism.
Uh-huh. That's a great thing for the president to say, man.
That have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently... Is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest that, yeah, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, yeah. Virtually...
The Amish are so disease-ridden, they have wards, special wards in their special hospitals dedicated to a wide variety of unique and often genetic debilitations that they suffer from. They also don't test for autism. But I'd be willing to bet that, yes, on average, Amish people are probably less autistic because they don't have the dang phone screens or whatever.
I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example.
This is so fucking dangerous, dude. I feel like our population has peaked, man.
They have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen.
Really, man? You've never picked up that one? One of the two, like, most well-known pain-killing chemicals? Okay.
Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol.
No, that's one
during pregnancy
brand name.
Can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary.
Dude, Tylenol, the company should sue the Trump administration. Directly using the brand name rather than the generic, the generic chemical term is insane. That's like actually insane.
Necessary. That's
this is easy defamation. This is based on like an incredibly tentative lawsuit. This is 100% absolutely unquestionably defamation.
for instance, in cases
Leading
of
to real material
extremely high
harm.
fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly. It can be something that's very dangerous to the woman's health. In other words, a fever that's very, very dangerous, and ideally a doctor's decision, because I think you shouldn't take it. And you shouldn't take it during the entire pregnancy. They may tell you that toward the end of the pregnancy, you shouldn't take it during the entire. And you shouldn't give the child the Tylenol every time he's born and he goes and has a shot. You shouldn't give a Tylenol to that child. All pregnant women should talk to their doctors for more information about limiting the use of this medication while pregnant. So ideally, you don't take it at all. But if you have to, if you can't tough it out, if there's a problem, you're going to end up doing it. The other thing that I can tell you that I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, but I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times.
He's not even coherently delivering this information, man. It's insane that he's the one delivering this when he can't speak. I guess RFK Jr. also can't speak. Why isn't Dr. Oz giving this information?
But you take it in smaller doses and you spread it out over a period of years. And they pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies. It's a disgrace.
Of course he would think they're beautiful.
I don't see it. I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little child, little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in. So ideally, a woman won't take Tylenol. And on the vaccines,
it really is like end of civilization shit, you know? It feels like we should have overcome this, but this is like language that basically approximates a 16th century peasant talking about the way to dispel the Black Death is to keep garlic cloves in your mask or whatever. Like we're so fucked. Jesus Christ.
Be good instead of one visit where they pump the baby, load it up with stuff. You'll do it over a period of 4 times or 5 times. I've been so into this issue for so many years just because I couldn't understand how a thing like this could happen. And it's artificially induced. It's not like something that when you go from all of those, healthy babies to a point where I don't even know structurally if a country can afford it. And that's the least of the problems. To have families destroyed over this is just so terrible. I also, and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and
Nuremberg trials, man. Yeah, for real. It's going to kill more people than any war.
The 3 should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate. The chicken pox is already separate because when that got mixed in, I guess they made it 4 for a while, it really was bad. So they make chicken pox. Individually, they're okay. When you mix them, something maybe happens. So there's no downside in doing it. It's not like, if
he's just falling for the Wakefield shit. Yeah, but he's not intelligent enough to even repeat what the points are. So the point, the Andrew Wakefield doctrine or dogma that was originally meant to be this like well-reasoned scientific criticism of MMR vaccines has now dripped down into what it always was, which is just retard slop for paranoid conspiracy theorists. That's who it was always for. It was always for that demographic.
You do it bad things. No, it's only good side, and it may not have that much of an impact, but it may have a big impact. So let those be taken separately. And then hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. There's no reason to give a baby that's almost just born.
Oh my fucking God. Oh my God, dude. Jesus Christ. All I can do, and I'm crossing my fingers, all I can do is hope that the death way, like the excess death numbers mostly hit red states. That's all I can hope for. Oh my God.
Hepatitis B. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old and formed and take hepatitis B. And I think if you do those things, it's going to be a whole different, it's going to be a revolution in a positive sense in the country. The FDA will be updating the label of an existing drug to reflect potential benefits in reducing some autism symptoms. This gives hope to the many parents with autistic children that it may be possible to improve their lives. That's one of the things that I'm very, very happy about. I mean, this was mostly going to be on how not to have the child affected, but we've learned some pretty good things about...
Did Trump get bribed by Andrew Wakefield? Andrew Wakefield was just a grifter. He didn't believe in what he was saying. He just wanted to make money off of being a controversial media figure. In that respect, they're all the same person. Western civilization, and I mean that in the most grandiose terms possible, has been getting preyed on by these people relentlessly for the past 30 years. Longer than 30 years, but especially the past 30 years. In the absence of a Cold War enemy, the Soviet Union, operating as some kind of unifying cause, even an oppositional one, we are being shredded to pieces by grifters. And again, I'm not saying this didn't happen during the Cold War as well. It certainly did. But I really do feel like the per pound, like, grifter ratio of society has gone way the fuck up recently. Certainly now.
Certain elements of genius that can be given to a baby, and the baby can get better. And in some cases, maybe substantially better. Not going to be easy, but be a lot easier if it didn't happen in the first place, as these great parents fully understand, right?
Study showed a 20% hepatitis B rate among children prior to vaccine versus 1% after. The common vector is mother to child. Yeah, because the kid breastfeeds. Yeah.
You fully understand. I feel so terribly for... I have so many friends with autistic children. It's a tough situation. Finally, to help reach the ultimate goal.
Always, of course, the dehumanization of the disabled person. It's never, I know autistic people, which you certainly do. You're surrounded by at least one, right? Yeah, Trump's got a little special interest-y himself, but, you know, leaving that aside. Eric, yeah, maybe. We'll see how Barron turns out. But it's always like, I'm sorry to my non-autistic friends who are being afflicted and burdened by the presence of their autistic children. That's always how it goes.
Of ending the autism fever, the NIH will be announcing 13 major grant awards from the Autism Data Science Initiatives. And to be honest with you, to me, that's the least important. It's not even a money thing at this point. There's so much money, but they have to do, and they have to move quickly. When the alternative is that nothing bad can happen, let's do it now. I was just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one, because there's no alternative to that. Sadly, first question, what can you take instead? It's actually, there's not an alternative to that.
Okay.
And as you know, other of the medicines are absolutely proven bad. I mean, they've been proven bad with the aspirins and the Advils and others, right? And they've been proven bad. So I'd like to ask Bobby to get up to the podium and say a few words, and then Dr. Bhattacharya and Dr. McCary, Dr. Oz, Dr. Fink, followed by two incredible mothers that have experienced firsthand what this country is going through, what parts of the world are going through. And I will say there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. I mean, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's so or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and they have virtually no autism, okay? Tell me about that one. And there are other parts of the world where they don't have Tylenol, where they don't have autism.
Thanks.
That tells you a lot. And I want to say it right now.
It is kind of crazy that of all of the directions they could have chosen to go with this, like the poison within our society that's causing autism is X, they chose one of the most ubiquitous drugs on the planet. Like, it is pretty insane that's the direction they went with. They didn't like choose a sacrificial scapegoat. They didn't go after something nebulous like 5G waves or whatever. They just named a company.
And you know, the way I look at it, don't take it. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it. So
Do you think this is just a ploy for market manipulation? I'm sure there are going to be people who cynically profit from this in that way, but no. This kind of like insane medical conspiracism, the alienation or dehumanization of the sickened people, this is very common stuff to fascists. It's not like they're just like this.
I'd like to ask Bobby to come up and say a few words. I hope I didn't ruin his day, but that's the way I feel. I've been very strong on the subject for a long time. You know, life is common sense, too. And there's a lot of common sense in this, and I wish things like this were brought up. And this group has worked so hard on it, but I'd like to be a little bit more, a little speedier in the process of a recommendation, because there's no harm in going quicker. There's absolutely no harm. At worst, there's no harm. Thank you very much. Bobby, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. To meet the President's challenge, I ordered HHS to launch an unprecedented all-agency effort to identify all causes of autism, including toxic and pharmaceutical exposures. At President Trump's urging, NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS are turning over every stone to identify the etiology of the autism epidemic and how patients and parents can prevent and reverse this alarming trend. We have broken down the traditional silos that have long separated these agencies, and we have fast-tracked research and guidance. Historically, NIH has focused almost solely on politically safe and entirely fruitless research about the genetic drivers of autism.
We live in such a fucking clown country, dude. I can't believe of all the people that could have chosen to run the NHS, they chose the least healthy looking and sounding human being alive. Like, it's a joke. I just can't believe I'm being subjected to it, you know? Like, we all know he looks and sounds awful.
That would be like studying the genetic drivers of lung cancer without looking at cigarettes. And that's what NIH has been doing for 20 years. As a result, we don't have an answer to this critical question, despite the cataclysmic impact of the epidemic on our nation's children. We are now replacing the institutional culture of politicized science and corruption with evidence-based medicine. NIH research teams are currently testing multiple hypotheses with no area off limits. We promise transparency as we uncover the potential causes and treatments public regularly of our process. Today, we are announcing two important findings from our autism work that are vital for parents to know as they make these decisions.
Okay, I'm going to take an executive decision here. I'm straight up skipping him. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. I don't want to listen to this for any length of time. I don't care.
Launch the Autism Data Science Initiative.
Oh, this is the, what's his name again? This is that freak who wants to like ban all vaccines, right? This is that guy who's been working with RFK Jr. for a while. What's his name? Jay Bhattacharya, yeah.
Turbocharge autism research, devoting an additional $50 million to the cause of studying autism. Nearly 250 research teams from across the country applied, sent in their applications, and were peer-reviewed by the NIH review panels. The NIH peer reviewers chose the 13 best projects focused on root causes and therapies, with replication and validation studies to guarantee gold standard science. The studies feature a new kind of science called exposomics, where scientists consider environmental and medical factors, nutrition, events during pregnancy, in combination with biology and genetics to answer vital questions about autism. Science like this, conducted in partnership with families and physicians, is the best way to arrest and reverse the autism epidemic. Autism spectrum disorder encompasses a very wide range of symptoms, ranging from mild difficulties with social interactions to profoundly autistic children who experience severe disabilities in speech and behavior. Given this wide range of symptoms across the spectrum, it seems certain that there will be a wide range of biological contributors to explaining the cause. The great thing about the new NIH initiative on autism is that scientists will use rigorous advanced...
This is boring. Okay, we learned what we need to learn. Just straight up anti-vax, not even like conditionally anti-vax or cautious anti-vax, but just full-on anti-vax stuff from the president, and also direct, flagrantly like liable slander against the company that produces Tylenol. It's insane. What's their intention behind all this? To root out the sickness. It's literally like this is the main thing fascists care about. Identify the sickness, root out the sickness. It's all like that's the whole thing all the time. That's the main thing they do. You all understand now why I've been so insistent on like the social root of neurodevelopmental conditions, right? Like it is a perfect antidote to this kind of bigotry. And to this kind of insanity. When you understand that, along with most human behavior, as like a complex tapestry of environmental and biological factors, it's really difficult. You basically become like immunized against these arguments. Yeah, all the fucking mothers are going to take, expected mothers are going to take opioids now. Inky Elk, we've done whole streams on it before. Whole streams on it before. They added new FAQ, and now when you open it, it asks about new media coverage at Tylenol.com. What? Oh, wait. Wait, was that it? I think I closed it reflexively, but I think the pop-up said, do you have questions about... You dumbass? Yeah, fuck you. Yes? 1 second. New incog window. Yep. Have questions about recent media coverage of Tylenol. Click here. Here's what we can tell you. Credible, independent scientific data continues to show no proven link between taking acetaminophen and autism. Medical and public health organizations agree, including... Yeah. Okay, it's just showing this, but it had a pop-up for it. Show us? I'm showing you. It's right here. Yeah, stock down like 7%. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's pretty insane. It's pretty like civilization ending, to be honest with you. To have stuff like this spread through the presidency, through the Oval Office, absolutely insane. Only the United States? Unfortunately, the right wing in other countries follows. Yeah. It does, everyone gets pulled along, unfortunately. Well. In the UK, the abortion debate has begun to affect the UK. Yeah, I figured from the language that you used. Okay, unfortunately, I have to go. It's a car alarm outside. It's making my head hurt. I have to go. Stream tomorrow will be more substantive. Unfortunately, I got to go like now. So I'm going to read one donation before I go because it came in at the beginning of the day, and I want to acknowledge it because it was for $500 and it was about autism, as all donations on my stream are. Benjamin Gilbert Liff, thank you for the insanely kind $500 donation. Jesus Christ. would expect you to weigh in on this. The autism stuff is crazy and misleading. Tylenol does seem to have a causal link to autism when taking an early pregnancy. The funny thing is, high fever during the same period has a higher causal link. Also, folate medication does have benefits for some types of ASD. Deplin is a good example I use, but the folate meds they listed don't help ASD. If a high fever has an even higher correlation, it makes me wonder if there's any correlation at all with acetaminophen, or if it's just when people have high fevers early in pregnancy, they tend to take acetaminophen, and that is the correlating effect, you know? I would need to read up on the medicine, but I'm guessing the information on it's a little bit sparse. And how much is being taken, you know? You taking like a bucket of Tylenol? I don't know. Like when you're sick, you take Tylenol. So is it the sickness or the Tylenol? I don't know. Thank you very much, Benjamin. I did want to directly acknowledge the autism-specific donation. It was very important to me that I get that in. I've got to go, folks. I'm sorry. I love you all very much. I didn't even expect to be here this late, but they did start the autism announcement like 50 minutes late. So take care, and I'll read all the donations sent today, tomorrow. Sorry about that, but I got to go. Take care and protect your autism. They are trying to take it from you. They're trying to take it from you.